Hi, my name is John Bassie and I'm going to be your host today on Access to Justice. Today we have here with us Andriene Lindsay from the Ministry of Justice, and our topic is going to be on restorative justice. We plan to have a real enthusiastic discussion and we hope you enjoy it. Please tune into our YouTube channel, hit the likes, fingers up, everything you need to do to say this is a great program. Thank you for joining us. Andriene, tell us a bit about restorative justice. What does it mean? What is the restorative justice? What sort of a process is it?
Well, hi John, and thank you for having me on today. Hello also to all of your viewers. Restorative justice, very interesting topic, and I'm glad I can have the opportunity today to really come and explain to viewers what restorative justice is about. So restorative justice in this big context is really about conflict resolution. You have a crisis, you have a conflict, come to a restorative justice center and we can work with you to come to a resolution that brings together the victim, the offender, and also the community.
So tell me a few of the myths surrounding restorative justice. You know, you hear it's like meditation. Do you hold hands and sing Kumbaya? Tell me a bit about it.
That's very funny. That definitely is a myth. I mean, restorative justice is really a healing process. It's really about, sitting down with someone who has done you wrong, listening to their perspective, but also putting your view across in terms of how you have been affected by the conflict and what you would like to see done to come to a resolution for the future. And because, John, the truth is most of the clients that we see, or all of the clients we see, have an existing relationship. Mother, father, sister, brother, partners. It could be any form of relationship. And oftentimes what happens is the conflict has eroded that relationship. You see a real issue, a separation. When people come into the center, I always say they are so far apart. They are so upset with each other. But by the time they sit down through the restorative justice process, where they're able to express their self and their feeling and hear each other, listen, that's the very important part of restorative justice. Speaking, but also the listening. And by the end of the session, it's not really holding hands, John, but it is coming to an understanding with each other of how we could move forward in a way that I feel satisfied, and also as an offender I might feel vindicated in some way that I have been able to sit down and apologize to you, and again find a way that we can move forward together and really reduce the form of reprisal, because in Jamaica it's a society where there's a lot of reprisal culture, and we try to minimize that, and this process does a good job of doing that.
Great, and I really want to congratulate the Ministry of Justice on the great work that they're doing in leadership in this particular area. We, the Dispute Resolution Foundation, are extremely pleased to partner with you in the different processes. So going on to that angle of things, what's the difference between that? Tell me a bit about the process itself in terms of as an ADR process. I know you normally will have an offender and you'll have somebody who's been offended, right? And possibly the community as a third party as well. How does that work? How has it been working for us in our communities?
Thank you, John. Great question. With restorative justice, you mentioned the community. The community is actually an integral part of the process. So really, I tend to tell people to look at restorative justice as a four-step process. The first steps include, when we get a referral, we have a pre-meeting with each individual party to really listen to how they're feeling. And at that time, we're doing a risk assessment. Are they ready to move to the next step, which is sitting down together? So we meet with the parties individually. Thereafter, if they are ready, because it's all about the state of readiness, we will arrange a conference where they sit together, the victim, the offender, and importantly, a community representative. Because we want to hear the voice of the community. Oftentimes, John, you're in a community and an offence takes place, there's a conflict. The community is an affected third party. And then we have an agreement. If we don't force them, we facilitate the process for people to come to agreement themselves. After that, the fourth step is a very essential part of restorative justice. We do something called the follow-up. And that's where after the conference, after the agreement, we will call you a couple of weeks later to check how are things going. Is everything okay? what's happening, because it's very important to understand that on the day there is an agreement, but we are people, we're human beings, and after you have a conference there can be some upheaval. So we will stay with you to make sure that things are going well. If there's a breakdown in the agreement, we will try to work with you to have another session to see how best we can get the agreement back on track.
Excellent. As you know and as you're aware, the Dispute Resolution Foundation is in all 14 parishes, and we also do a lot of work with respect to ADR. How do you see those two processes working together? Can they exist together?
Yes, again, very important question there, John. And I mean, the fact that we're here together today is, I hope, already in itself, just having that cohesive approach, because ADR does include Restorative Justice and also Dispute Resolution Foundation. We already work together across the islands. Many times we have had referrals from the Dispute Resolution Foundation, and we've also referred to them. So it's definitely two entities that work together for the betterment of the country. Just to give you a live example, to give your viewers an example, it could be there's a land dispute, for example, and they go to mediation and they settle it. Okay, I will pay you, for example, 50,000. However, there are some underlying issues, your family members, your business partners, and that relationship has been eroded. What Restorative Justice seeks to do is to look at the underlying issues, speak to that relationship to try and mend it. So you have the compensation aspect, the mediation aspect, but you also have the restoring, the healing from the harm. And I see us, as I said to you before, John, I see Restorative Justice and Dispute Resolution Foundation working together as well in the future as we go along to really improve this society in a holistic kind of way. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yes, definitely, Andriene. The two work together, and I think it's very important as an ADR practitioner that you recognize that the skill sets as a restorative justice practitioner and as a mediator can be cross-referenced and cross-pollinated with each other. Because it's very important that you're empathetic towards the persons that are in your dispute, and also you get to understand how best you can serve them. So you may start off in an RJ arena, but at the same time you find that you end up using a mediation skill in order to settle a certain aspect of it.
Definitely.
So these skills are symbiotic, and as an ADR practitioner, please don't hesitate to learn from the Ministry of Justice, go do their courses and learn from the DRF. We're working together for a better Jamaica.
Definitely.
So tell me a bit more about, I know that we're starting to reach out to the constabulary force, the police constabulary force. What do you have on the horizon in that area?
Yes, so definitely the Jamaican Constabulary Force is a key stakeholder with restorative justice. But what we have identified is there's a gap as it exists in our policy, wherein the JCF don't make or cannot, they're not empowered to make direct referrals to restorative justice once a crime has taken place. So what we're trying to do at the moment, we are actually revisiting our policy to see how best we could incorporate the JCF to make it into law that they can actually refer cases directly. And that will be a good thing, because what we really want ultimately is to reduce that backlog in courts. And I mean, critically, if the JCF at the point of the crime taking place, if they can refer the case to us and we can intervene, that case can be prevented from going to the courts, thereby leaving the courts free to deal with the most serious crimes in the country.
Okay, I have a few ideas, but I'd like to hear from you. What sort of recommendation, how do you see the future of ADR? What can we do more together, the DRF and the Ministry of Justice? Tell me a bit more how you see the future.
Well, as I've always said, I like to work in a real multi-agency approach, partnership working, because anytime I do sensitizations or these kind of programs, I always say that no one entity can heal the problems that we're facing. No one entity is responsible for solving conflicts or crimes or reducing these in the country. And if we work together, and that doesn't just include us as ADR agencies, but also looking at schools, also looking at churches, JPs and their responsibilities, how we could incorporate all of those working together for the betterment of the country. And there's many ways we can do that. Public education is of course one. When we go out, we do sensitizations together to show the public the approach that we are using and for them to really understand and buy into that. Then you have these kind of programs that we're doing right now to educate the public about what's happening. That's also very important. And again, the interagency referral mechanisms, where if something has happened, DRF has dealt with it, but they also identify that there is an aspect for RJ or vice versa, then we do those referrals as well. That will, I believe, go quite a significant way in strengthening ADR in this country.
And I couldn't agree with you more. I noticed that our children as well, we're starting at a very young age. Together we're working together to get these programs in our basic schools to make sure the kids understand the process of ADR. You know, discuss things for us. Let's work it out.
Yes.
And of course in our communities as well, it will expand into our communities, and of course our judicial system. So when you look at that and you recognize the fact that we've got agencies like the DRF working with our ministries, the future is very, very bright. The Dispute Resolution Foundation is an organization that you probably are aware of. We've got many stakeholders and they're part of our board too. So together with the Ministry of Justice, I know we have a bright future.
Definitely, I couldn't agree any more, John.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd like to thank our guest today, Andriene Lindsay of the Ministry of Justice. I believe that we've had a very informative afternoon. Please keep watching our series, Access to Justice. Thumbs up, as I keep telling you, smiles, whatever you've got to do, ticks. Tell your friends about it. Remember, Access to Justice, a series that doesn't stop giving. It's about dispute resolution. We resolve disputes. We can work it out.